Hi everyone, thanks for joining me on this video. This is a kit overview for the AT-ST Chicken Walker. This is studio scale. I am going to go over all these parts just to let you in on a little bit of this detail before I start my tutorial that'll be coming soon. There are 104 total parts to this kit. 8 of those are 3D printed. These are these orange pieces. And 22 pieces are laser cut parts. And these are some of the top panels here. The eyelids, the eyelid frames, the chassis piece. There's supports. So let me just go ahead and go over this kit in detail. We'll start with these feet. These are solid cast. Great detail. Each foot consists of its main structure, the toe, and the toe cover plate. So 3 parts to each foot. Here's the legs. These are the shin plates, shin plate covers, the rear springs. These are styrene. They'll come with your kit. I suggest cutting a sheet metal instead of using this plastic, but they'll come with the kit. And then we move down to the shins, the femur bone. Actually, these are femur top plates, femur middle, and then that's for left, this is for right. Thighs. Each thigh is its main structure, this detail chip, the rivet plate, and the underside raised detail. That's one of the laser cut parts. And then there's a whole bunch of little details here. There's these. There's the armor plates. And then the chassis is a main bottom, a main top, this top detail. There's all kinds of armor plates. There's options. This is an option for covering up this back cavity. You can leave it open. You can close it. I'm leaving it open as an option in case you wanted to add a support, an aluminum rod support there in the back. This is the chassis rear plate. In the tutorial video, I'll show you how to smooth these 3D prints. It's very easy, no sanding necessary. These I'm really proud of. This is faux cool shade. I was looking into getting real cool shade. It's just so expensive. I decided to laser cut my own. Look at that crazy detail. So these cool shades fit in behind those openings there. The chassis will need all of these little details here. These details, this top plate. There's another laser cut piece here that clarifies the detail for that ring. These beautiful pieces. Let me see, we'll go on to the hips. These are your hip connectors. And these are designed to fit with these connections. They'll slide right in there and then connect with hex cap screws and nuts. You have your neck, the back of the head. I'll go into that in a little more detail, the way it fits on, but it consists of the plate, the fan blades, go into these spots here. These laser cut caps go on top of each of those. Then you've got your details for the side guns. These fit on here. Vacuum form plate goes on top of that. 2 more vacuum form chips go on top of that, and then you've got your guns. The side guns, right side is 3D printed part. Look at this detail, it's incredible. I decided to do that as 3D printed instead of cast. Saves you all that trouble of all that assembly. This is the other side gun. This is 2 parts. This is actually a 3D part and a cap that goes on the open end like this. There's also a resin cap that goes on back of this gun mount that fits on the back like that, so you've got all that detail covered in 2 parts. I decided to engineer this head with a separate top plate and a separate back plate. The first head I cast was pretty heavy. My sample build is really super top heavy. This one I cast very lightweight. I mean, this is very light. Needs to be if you want this model to stand on its own joints without support. So here's your sprue hole, the pour hole. This allows you interior access if you wanted to add LEDs. I mean, you could knock out this whole back, you could knock out this whole top to gain access to the interior. I'm not really doing an interior, but if you wanted to, you can get in there with red lights, whatever. So here's how the top plate gets on here. If I can get a little closer, you can see there's little detail tabs here that's accurate to the studio scale model, and I designed this plate to butt right up against those tabs, and it lines up on the back. And then your sprue hole is covered up by this back plate. And it just pops right in there like this, and you are done with the top and bottom just with those two added on pieces. All this detail is added on to the underside. There's a 3D printed part for the hatch, and that sits on here like this. That gives you that raised open space detail. And now the rail, don't worry about bending copper wire. Don't need to. It's this 3D part. And I go ahead and I get rid of all the support material for you, so you get this beautiful piece, and it fits perfectly into the holes that are already in place on the hatch. They just pop right on there just like that. This is the chin gun mount. You'll pin that with a piece of brass so that it armatures. It'll pivot up and down. And once you have the chin gun attached to its mount, that mount sits perfectly in its cavity right there. These side head armor plates are cast in fiberglass, so they're really strong. You'll notice on the side of the head there's a little riser plate, and these sit right onto that riser just like this. There's a whole bunch of detail plates that go on the side. I wanted to maintain separate pieces for each of this. I'm trying to be as authentic as possible. This is a little riser plate for this guy. He sits there somewhere, and I'm not sure if this is the right side, left or right, but this guy sits here. You can see how the detail goes together just so quickly. You would drill a hole through this. That's where this mounts. This has additionally a laser cut armor plate. You have to bend this. Super easy to bend with a little bit of heat. You can do it with a hairdryer. That mounts at the end of that stock. This is the hardware you'll need. You'll need a length of 1/2 inch aluminum rod. This piece is probably enough to do this entire kit. 1/2 inch steel couplers with grub nuts. I mounted the head using a phone mount, a car phone mount. This is a magnetically attached ball and socket joint that works perfectly inside the neck of that head. And then the wiring is done with just standard little wires, and the front wires are bass string. So get yourself a length of bass string and cut that, and there's your wiring. And then the nuts I'm using, for the most part, I was using the 1024 1-inch hex cap screws. There's a couple of 1/2 inch hex cap screws, and that's about it for your hardware. It's actually pretty simple. Let me show you how this head disconnects. I've got the neck mounted on a dowel. You can see that dowel there, and then this mounts magnetically with that little car mount. Just pops right in there and rotates. Let me go over the points of articulation. If you mount the toe with a wire, that can pivot. The ankle pivots. Where the shin attaches, that pivots. The thighs to the femur joint pivots. This is the aluminum rod that's in there. There's one here and here. There's 4 of these. Those are again mounted with hex cap screws, and they go into those steel, if I can get in there a little closer, they go into the steel armature coupler that's there, and there's one mounted inside of the thigh. So these move in and out. This rotates. Head rotates. You can pose this in so many different positions. It is really amazing. Here's a look at those bass strings, and these are regular wires. You can make a factory fresh chicken walker, or you can dirty them up. I used some of this moss. You can buy a big bag of this for about $6 at the craft store. And I just broke it up into pieces and glued it on with some clear Elmer's glue. And that's how I did the feet. You'll be able to see all those steps in the tutorial I'll start filming soon. You can see the way this is laid out that it's completely posable, utterly posable. And to lock everything into position, I've got a little access point for the grub nut on that steel coupler. So the leg is in it's about its proper position here, so I can tighten up that grub nut. I can then move the shin into its proper position, which is about here, and tighten up this hex nut. So you can see it locks right into position there. Same with this joint. I can loosen up this and bend that shin. Let me go ahead and lock this leg into position. Okay. I need to tighten up this nut on the femur. This guy. And now he's pretty stiff, so you can see we have a freestanding chicken walker. And that is about it for this kit overview. Thanks for watching. I'll be filming this tutorial, so you'll get to see all the behind the scenes on how this is assembled into its finished form. Make sure to hit that subscribe button to see future content. Have a great day.